Welcome back to the Woven Well podcast. Today I'm welcoming back a friend of the show, Laura Ducote. Laura is a nurse practitioner, wife and mother, and fertility care practitioner with me at Woven Natural Fertility Care. And usually I ask experts in a particular area of women's health or faith to come on and discuss a particular issue, and that's really important. But my conversations with Laura are some of my favorites because we're talking about the things that we chat about when we meet for coffee, just like on our own. We are both so passionate about empowering and encouraging women, particularly in this space. And so I'm always honored and excited to have her back on the show. So, Laura, welcome back.
Thanks. Excited to be back as usual.
Yes, 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 yes. You and I talk about our faith on a personal level. I just feel like we cannot hang out without discussing or marveling at what God is doing in our lives through both the really joyful seasons and the really hard seasons. So I feel like it's only right that we would meet to have a conversation here with our listeners about some of those same topics.
Yes, agreed. I know. He's in everything, so of course we have
Yeah.
to include him in everything.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, because it really comes up in all that we do. People think that the area of fertility is just like very medical. And I think I understand why people feel like it's a very medical, physical thing. But the work that we do, we get to see up close and personal that this is not just a physical reality. This is a mental, emotional, spiritual reality. And fertility has this unique way of touching on all these different aspects of our humanity, of our womanhood. And so it matters a lot. It touches a really deep place in our lives.
That's true. I mean, I think it truly has to do with how we're created. I mean, this topic is, built, woven, it's woven into our being. And so we truly can't, have it not mean something very deeply in our core. And I think that honestly, sometimes if we try to fight the emotions or the feelings that it doesn't, then we're usually trying to almost push like a beach ball under the water and hold it there. Like
Mm.
we really and truly sometimes have to open up the concept that these emotional and spiritual realities are just as present as the physical realities that we're used to talking about.
Yeah, and I really think things start to make more sense when we do that.
Mhm.
Because when we try to section off our reality as human beings, like our design, then things are never really going to make sense. And we wonder, oh, why do I feel so sad or angry or overwhelmed? Why is my prayer life feeling really difficult right now? All of these things are interconnected. And so when we open our eyes to that and say, hey, that's not a bad thing, it's actually how we're designed, it's a good thing, it's going to help us in life to acknowledge that, then I do think there's a freedom there too to really embrace that and hopefully have a better experience, whether you're dealing with a physical issue, a mental issue, a spiritual issue. Acknowledging all the different components is a really healthy way to approach it. So you and I have been talking about pregnancy a little bit and what that experience can be like for women who are pregnant, maybe for the first time, but really any pregnancy at all. I've been having, praise the Lord, a lot of pregnancy evaluations with clients who have been trying to conceive, and it's a common recurring theme of these early fears in pregnancy. And there are so many things that we could be fearful about, just so many things that could go wrong. And that starts to really weigh down our experience and our faith and our relationship. Like it starts to show up in all these different areas. And so you and I have been talking about the importance of embracing the spiritual aspect of this and trying to welcome God into this experience. I was talking with a client not too long ago, and I asked her what her prayer time had been like lately as she was overwhelmed with fear in these early weeks of pregnancy. And she said, well, I keep praying that everything's going to be okay. And I said, well, what about, just telling God about how you feel? and opening up those really deep, dark places of fear and just allowing the Lord into that space, because you never know what the Lord's going to do. A lot of times, I think there is healing and transformation and peace that really does not make sense. you know, passes understanding, peace that
Yeah.
passes understanding. It really does not make sense. But we don't have to just pray for an outcome. I think it's great to do that. But we can also just share what our experience is with God and expect with confidence to be met in that place with love and compassion.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I think that sometimes we have to realize that as we have our own child in our womb, that like we also are children. Like we have to even like
Mm,
re-invite that in even deeper as a surrender as a daughter of God. Like I am a
mm,
child of God and I just need to be held sometimes.
yes.
Sometimes I don't even need to say anything. It's just time with the Lord can be prayer, even if it's just literally hold me. Like, hold me near
Yes.
to your heart because I am scared out of my mind about what
Mm,
this means for our family, what this might mean for my body, what this might mean for like my work life. There's so many things that come with the responsibility of a child, and we as women it hits us right away. I mean, we know everything's different right away. and,
yes.
and so in his mercy, the Lord has given us 9 months to prepare for, the reality of having someone, to physically hold on the outside and all of those things. But that preparation time is super intentional for us
Mm,
to have that time of growth. And honestly, I really do think surrender of all those fears that can come up during that time. And I think it's such a time, we hope, of joy as well. But I think to recognize that sometimes when it doesn't feel like that joyful moment of what we've like seen in the Bible of Mary and Elizabeth coming together with Jesus and John in their womb, it's like we want that moment. I'm sure all of us do, but when it doesn't feel like that, it almost feels like, what's wrong with me? Like, why
mm,
don't I feel like that? And especially if we've had a loss before, it's totally understandable that that would not be how we would receive that news. But then if we
mm,
haven't had a loss before and it's just a new pregnancy, then I feel like even more there's judgment on ourselves for if we don't feel
mm.
super excited right away. Because honestly, the world that we live in is just a fallen world. Like,
Yeah.
we just live with so much disintegration of what is supposed to be, like, is supposed to actually build upon how we were created. After the fall, everything became disintegrated. All of our
Yeah.
parts became fractured. And so, just recognizing the broken world that we live in at times can really just kind of skew how we filter a lot of things. And so inviting the Lord back in those moments of like, Lord, show me the truth here. Like,
Mm.
give me your peace. Give me your understanding. Give me, like, allow me to receive this as the gift that I intellectually know that it is. And so
Yeah.
just to recognize all of those pieces are coming together, like that flood of things that are happening with that news is totally understandable.
I am so glad that you brought up the reactions to finding out that you're pregnant, because there are such a wide variety of experiences that women can have. And I think that, it can change on a daily basis. Like one day you can feel excited, the next day you could feel very overwhelmed. I think a lot of times we are less compassionate with ourselves than God is. Like, God is okay with us having questions and doubts and fears. Um, that is a normal part of being a human being. But we have the invitation to bring those to God with an openness, with a trust that, like you said, we can pray for clarity and for peace and for understanding of why God has blessed us with this gift of a child in a particular season. And it could be a couple who has tried to conceive. It's still, I mean, I talk with couples who were trying to conceive and they got pregnant and they're like, what did we do? Like, this is real now, you
Yeah.
know? And then others who were not like strongly opposed to, getting pregnant, but the reality of it feels a little different than it did in theory. And like you said, they're really embracing what this means, and
Mhm.
that is okay. It is okay to feel those things. It is okay to not have it only be this happy, joyous celebration, but to have some real, honest, raw struggles with
Mhm.
this reality, even as you know that it's a gift.
Mhm.
I'm really glad that you brought that up too.
Yeah.
Now, as the pregnancy keeps going, the fears, the doubts, the feeling of being overwhelmed, I imagine they change a little bit, and we start thinking more towards the end of pregnancy with areas like labor and delivery and those kind of things. You actually ran a program for us at Woven Natural Fertility Care. That was helping women prepare for labor and delivery and those later stages of pregnancy. Um, Tell us a little bit about what you noticed in those women, like what they were maybe struggling with the most during that season.
Yeah. So I think some of it is the fear of the unknown. So much of birth, motherhood, that transition into postpartum is just fear of the unknown. Like, and even if you have had birth and postpartum before, you could be transitioning into, how am I going to handle a toddler and a baby this time? How am I going
Yeah.
to handle multiple children and a baby this time? Or, it's still an area that you've never done before every time you're bringing this new miracle of life into your family. And so, and then birth itself is truly very unpredictable, and unfortunately we try to control it a little too much in the current state, I think. But I think that that is, again, the deeper invitation there is to invite the Lord into that unknown, and to
Mm,
really understand the vulnerable place that you're in is a vulnerable, like a more vulnerable place than you've probably been almost ever,
yeah.
when you're in that moment of birth where you're just, I trust that my body can do this. Lord, I trust that you have designed my body to be able to do this, but I've never done this before. Or, oh my goodness, I have done this before, but I don't even think I can do this again. This is so painful. Whatever, whatever it is, there's so many parts, and it goes in different ways, different times. But so inviting the Lord into those places of, when I was running the program, it was called No Fear in Love. And the reason for that is that I, and one of my births, had that song come on in one of those moments where I was getting afraid. And that
Mm,
song came on right when I needed it. And in that moment, the Lord spoke to me that I love you no matter what happens right now. I am
mm,
holding you like my little child, like you are holding your little child in your womb, preparing to bring them into the world. I'm holding you, and in my arms, nothing else matters. Like, you are
mm,
safe. So, C section, water breaking, anything that might need to happen for that scenario, or just the natural birth that you were hoping for, maybe, but like, holy cow, it's super painful. How am I going to do this? It might be any of those scenarios, but when He is present, His loving presence is there. It's like all fear can go out the window. And when we see that in nature, if you've ever seen like a cat give birth, they always go hide in a corner. They find their little safe spot, and even they'll like hiss at you or like get super crazy mama cat if you come near them when they're getting ready to give birth to those kittens. And it's a very similar scenario, honestly, with us. We can learn from nature in that way that, if we don't feel safe, that birthing process is not going to go the way that the Lord designed for it to go. And so,
Mm.
any way that we can bring safety into that moment of labor, delivery, postpartum, all of those things, even your breastfeeding journey, it matters if you feel safe. Like if you don't feel safe, your body can even produce less milk from that stress response. And so, all of those things, if the Lord is speaking that safety, that trust, that peace to us, it can make all the difference, no matter honestly, really what happens.
Hmm. I especially love you talking about, well, I loved all of it, but I especially loved you talking about the safety at the end because a lot of times we think about feeling safe or being safe as the medical circumstances in which we find ourselves. Like,
Mm.
I will feel safe as long as I'm not induced. I will feel safe as long as I don't have to have a C section. I will feel safe as long as fill in the blank,
Yeah.
whatever it may be for an individual person. But that is a reminder that our safety is not just dependent on our medical experiences and circumstances, but that the Lord offers a different level of safety within any situation, that the Lord will not leave us. God will always be there with us, and can really speak to our heart and our souls. And like you say, really help us to feel held during those moments,
Mhm.
which is such an encouraging reminder for all of us. And thank you so much, Flora, for sharing your time and your encouragement and talking about these areas that I know really speak to your heart too.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I'm excited to talk on this topic. It's been, I think, probably a long time coming, but probably more to come.
That's right. And we're just going to, you and I are going to stay open to the Lord and see what happens. And, there may be more opportunities in the future, but I know you're always going to be speaking into the lives and hearts of women as they're preparing for pregnancy or delivery as well. So, no doubt. So, listeners, we talk so much about natural fertility topics because we want to empower you with knowledge and with the resources you need to be able to plan your families and navigate women's health issues. But faith is interwoven into every aspect of that knowledge. We are designed with purpose and with beauty, and the fact that we are made in the image of God means that we deserve to be treated with dignity and with respect. God is meeting us along the way through the whole process, whether we're in a season of joy or heartache, whether we are trying to conceive or avoiding pregnancy or single and really focused on our women's health issues. And we hope you know that whatever season you find yourself in, you are welcome here. If you enjoyed today's episode, please take a second to leave us a review. It means so much, and it gets episodes like this one in front of more women scrolling through podcasts, trying to find some hope. As always, thanks for listening as we continue to explore together what it means to be woven well.